You know the fairy tale about the girl who cleans the cinders in the fireplace, does all the chores, and waits on her evil stepmother and stepsisters? No matter who tells it, it's always the same old story. Until now. The book Cinder by Marissa Meyer is about a teenage girl from New Beijing named Cinder. She's a cyborg and a renowned mechanic who is always covered in grease. Her evil guardian, Audrey, makes Cinder work, then takes all of Cinder's hard-earned money for herself and her two daughters, the mean, lazy Pearl and the lovable Peony. Like the original story, Audrey, Pearl, and Peony are getting ready for the ball, having beautiful dresses custom made. But Cinder has no desire to go to that ball. On the night of the ball, Cinder has plans to escape her horrible life. Just before she is set to escape, Cinder finds out something terrible is going to happen to the Prince of New Beijing, and only Cinder knows what it is. Cinder may give up her chance to escape so she can warn Prince Kai of what she now knows, but if she chooses to help the prince, getting to the ball won't be easy, and she will end up exactly where she doesn't want to and should not be. This story doesn't have the happily ever after ending. Rather, it has a unique and unexpected twist. The incredible cliffhanger will leave you wanting to know what happens next. Be ready to read Scarlet, the next book in the Lunar Chronicles.
The Elephant in the Room by Holly Goldberg Sloan. This is a realistic fiction. The main character is Sila Tikin, a once bubbly and energetic girl, is now sullen and withdrawn, rarely speaking in school. Her mother had to return to her native Turkey because of an error on her immigration paperwork. What was supposed to be 8 days has now turned into 8 months and counting. Things start to change when Sila and her mother meet Joe, a widower who happens to also be a recent Powerball winner. They meet at the local donut shop. A traveling circus has also stopped off for a break. Shortly after meeting Sila, Joe is inspired to rescue an elephant named Vida from that same traveling circus that just so happened to be closing down. Sila and new friend Mateo spend their summer helping Joe take care of Vida. The job gives Sila purpose and helps keep her mind off missing her mother. Mateo's mother happens to be a lawyer and gets involved with the Taken's case.
The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. Alice and her mother have spent most of Alice's life moving from place to place, with bad luck following them everywhere. But when Alice's grandmother, the reclusive author of a cult classic of dark fairy tales, dies alone on her estate, the Hazelwood, Alice learns how bad her luck can really get. Her mother is taken by a figure who claims to come from the hinterland, the cruel supernatural world where her grandmother's stories are set. Alice's only lead is the message her mother left behind: stay away from the Hazelwood. Alice reluctantly agrees to get help from a classmate named Ellery Finch, who is a super fan of this book. To find her mother, Alice must find the Hazelwood, a place no one has been able to locate in all these years. Then into the world where her grandmother's tales begin. Alice finds that the hinterland is real, and she will have to navigate a world of the darkest stories to rescue her mother. If you love dark fairy tales along with a good quest, pick up a copy of The Hazelwood at the library. Horrified by Katrina Leno will appeal to readers who enjoyed Rory Power's Wilder Girls. The book follows Jane and Ruth, who have to move from California to Maine after Jane's dad dies unexpectedly and leaves them broke. They have no choice but to move into an old abandoned estate named North Manor, left to them by Jane's grandmother in small-town Bells Hollow, Maine. Jane knew nothing about this place or her mother's life growing up. Ruth's very secretive about it, and she answers none of Jane's questions. The manor is called Creep House from locals, and Jane understands the nickname because immediately strange things begin to happen. A piano plays by itself, she sees lights in the windows when no one's there, and she sees shadows underneath doorways. And Jane can't shake the feeling something is going on, but her mother brushes her worries away as grief. Jane's trying to move on with her life. She gets a part-time job and she makes friends at school, but more and more things keep happening, and Jane begins to feel this sense of dread and anxiety that something dark and sinister is taking place in this house. You will be unable to put this book down until the very last page, as secrets of the house and family are revealed with a shocking conclusion.
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Sarah, and I'm going to talk to you guys about one of the books that I just couldn't get enough of that I think would be perfect for 7th and 8th grade readers, and that is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this story follows Avery Grams, who has a pretty good plan for a better future. Survive high school, win a scholarship, and get out. But her fortune changes in an instant when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves Avery virtually his entire fortune, billions of dollars. The catch? Avery has no idea why, or even who Tobias Hawthorne is. And to receive her inheritance, Avery must move into the sprawling, secret passage-filled Hawthorne house, where every room bears the old man's touch and his love of puzzles, riddles, and codes. Suddenly, Avery has gone from sleeping in her car to being a billionaire overnight. But unfortunately for Avery, Hawthorne House is also occupied by the family Tobias Hawthorne just disowned. And according to another stipulation of the will, she can't make any of them leave without just cause. This includes the 4 Hawthorne grandsons, Grayson, who is convinced that Avery must be a con woman and is determined to take her down, Jameson, who views her as his grandfather's final puzzle, Xander, who takes nothing seriously, and Nash, who supposedly wants nothing to do with the fortune to begin with. While caught in a world of wealth and privilege and danger around every turn, Avery will have to play Tobias's game herself just to survive. Well, this story just kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was hooked by this mystery from beginning to end. This is a Cinderella story with deadly stakes and thrilling twists that I cannot recommend enough. And if you end up hooked to this story just like me, the sequel, The Hawthorne Legacy, has just come out, so there's even more mystery to be solved.
Gordan Korman, author of many books including the Swindle series and Nutmeg nominee Restart, tackles racism and tolerance in small-town America in his newest novel, Linked. The novel is set in the town of Chokecherry, Colorado, where the middle school has a swastika problem. In case you don't know, a swastika is a symbol worn by the Nazis in Germany, who were responsible for the Holocaust during World War II. It represents hate, and someone has painted a big one in the main atrium of Chokecherry Middle School. Who could have done such a despicable thing? Was it Michael Amorosa? He was the first person to find the swastika, and since he is president of the art club, he has access to lots of paint. But he is also one of the few students of color. Could it be the popular jock, Link Rowley, who loves pulling pranks and has just learned some new information about his family's history? Could it be one of Link's partners in pranks and best friends, Jordy Duros or Clayton Pouncey? Nobody suspects Dana Levinson, the only Jewish student at Chokecherry Middle School, but she sure feels like everyone is looking at her. When swastikas keep turning up, Chokecherry starts getting national attention and even the popular vlogger Real Talk is commenting. And this isn't the first time Chokecherry has had issues with tolerance. Back in the 1970s, there was Ku Klux Klan activity, and in 1978, the infamous Night of 1,000 Flames. Sometimes challenging times bring out the best in a community, and the 7th grade class president, Carolyn McNutt, is determined to make that happen at Chokecherry Middle School. Using the real 6 million paperclip project by Whitwell Middle School in Tennessee as inspiration, Chokecherry Middle School creates their own project to bring the community together. The novel is told from various student perspectives, as well as some chapters from the vlogger Real Talk's point of view. I found the characters and story to be believable and on point. This is a good choice for readers who enjoy mysteries or realistic fiction and a quick read.
For fans of A Tale Dark and Grim by Adam Gidwitz and Smaller Spaces by Catherine Arden, you will want to check out Nightbooks by J.A. White. Alex loves all things creepy and dark. He loves scary movies, and at night he writes scary stories in his notebook, or as he calls them, his nightbooks. The kids at school make fun of him for this, and he is really tired of feeling like an outcast. So one night, Alex decides to sneak out of his family's apartment and take the elevator to the basement to burn his notebooks. The elevator takes him to a different floor instead, where he hears his favorite movie, Night of the Living Dead, and is lured into that apartment by a woman named Natasha, who turns out to be a witch. And when the door closes, Alex's nightmare begins. Instead of being killed by the witch, he bargains with her, and she agrees to keep him alive if he tells her one scary story a night. Or else. Will Alex be able to come up with enough stories every night until he figures out a plan on how to escape? This is a dark, fast-paced suspense story that is perfect for a chilly October night. And for you lovers of Netflix out there, the movie adaptation was just released on Netflix.
This is Bailey, and let's talk about Skyjacked by Paul Griffin. 5 teens, Cassie, Tim, Emily, Brandon, and Jay, are on their way back from a camping trip, flying from Idaho to New York City on Cassie's family's private plane. What starts as a normal flight soon spins out of control. One of the regular pilots is sick, so there's a replacement. Cassie has suddenly fallen ill for no reason, and Jay notices something truly odd. The plane is flying in the wrong direction. They're flying west instead of east. As the military works on the ground to find out what's going on, the friends are trapped 37,000 feet in the air on a plane that's clearly been hijacked. Only no one knows who's in control or why it's even happening. Their only chance to survive is by working together. But when everyone is a suspect, trusting the wrong person is not only hard, but could be a deadly mistake. With each passing minute, alliances shift and danger rises. Will anyone make it off Flight 21 alive?
This Is Not the Jess Show by Anna Carey is like an episode of Black Mirror in book form. Meet Jess, a girl who thinks she's living a pretty good life in the 1990s, a time before cell phones and social media. Jess has best friends, a school crush, and she's obsessed over her favorite show, Party of Five. But Jess starts to notice weird things. A weird glass-looking thing with an apple on it falls out of her friend's backpack. Or when half the school in town seem to have disappeared because they have the flu. And when she tries to tell her family that their family dog is not really their dog, he looks nothing like theirs. But then alarms go off in her head when she goes to a friend's house for the first time and finds that their bathroom is bare. Nothing's in it. Jess starts to question things for the first time, and starts to poke around. Without revealing too much of the plot, for my fear that I will ruin the surprises this book offers, I will just say it has action, a little romance, and so many plot twists and turns. And about halfway through, it becomes a thriller that will have you holding your breath until the very end of the book.
Hi, this is Bailey, and I want to share The Unfortunates with you by Kim Liggett. Grant is the son of a senator. When he's involved in a deadly accident, he wants to face the consequences, but nothing ever happens. Because of his dad's connections, Grant is going to get away with murder. Grant decides he wants to take justice into his own hands. He sees an opportunity when he has to undergo a family tradition. They do solo caving excursions on the Appalachian Trail by themselves, braving the elements for 4 days and 4 nights. Grant begins preparing for this trip, but secretly, he doesn't plan on coming back. He wants to fake an accident and disappear. And at first, this book seems all about redemption, but it quickly takes a turn into horror. Soon after Grant enters the caves, an incident causes a collapse, ruining all his plans. And what makes it worse is Grant is trapped underground with 4 other teens from a school group who were unable to make their way back to the surface. Together, all 5 teens must fight to survive because something else is down there with them in the cave. This was a very short read, and it really feels like you're reading a horror movie. There are some things you'll never see coming, and I couldn't put it down. I hope you like it.
You Have a Match by Emma Lord, author of the book Tweet Cute, brings us a story about a girl named Abby. Abby's best friend Leo is adopted and decides to do a DNA test to see if he could locate any of his biological family. As a show of support, Abby agrees to test too. Leo's comes back with no matches, but Abby's does. In fact, it comes back with a hit of a 100% match of a biological sister. Turns out her name is Samantha and her nickname is Savvy. She is less than 2 years older than Abby, and Abby's parents have been together forever, so this is very confusing to Abby. So begins Abby's journey into finding out who Savvy is and the secrets that her parents have been keeping for a very long time. This is a light, heartwarming read that will keep you turning the pages till the very end.